This is Debbie from Teacher Success Coach, and another of my guests. Today we are talking about homeschooling stroke home educating. In different countries, it's called different things. In America, I think it's called homeschooling, right?
Well, they use several different names: homeschool, home educating, home learning,
Okay,
unschooling, deschooling, like
okay,
reschooling. Like they use a lot of terms.
okay. Right. So today we're talking, I'm here with a guest talking about her journey on the homeschooling journey, basically why she started homeschooling, etc. And as you guys know, on a Friday, I talk to people who are actually homeschooling their children so that we get a sense of why they've done it. And also we have a sense of the journey they've taken and how we too, not me anymore, but how you
Mhm.
too could educate your children from home. And to demonstrate to you guys that there is an alternative to the traditional education system. If you don't like it, there's no point in staying in it and complaining about it. You have alternative route. So that's one of the reasons why I come on a Friday to promote homeschooling, home education, to show you the beauty of educating your children or your child for yourself. Anyway, Jay, tell us where you come from and then start telling us about your journey.
And I love that. Yes. I'm Jay. I am in Florida right now, but our home base is Arizona. I did 14 years in public education. I did 8 years as a sub and 6 years in my own classroom. And I tell people all the time, before I had kids, I said I would homeschool my kids. The school system was not something favorable to me, even though I was definitely deeply immersed in there. But I was definitely one of those, oh, I want to save the kids. I need to save the kids. They need me. And so I definitely got lost in there. So by the time I had my own kids, me still wanting to homeschool them, it was kind of went out the window because I felt like I needed to be there for the other kids. Like there were so many other kids, and I worked at Title I school, so it was really like, oh no, I need to be here. So it wasn't until the shutdown where I actually got to sit at home and be with my kids. And then it was just like, oh yeah, no, we're gonna go ahead and continue this. And so I resigned. 2021 was my last year teaching in the classroom. So this is our third year homeschooling. I have a 6 and a 9-year-old, both girls. Um, and we love it. It's been it's a beautiful, beautiful journey so far. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So you really do have to thank COVID for pushing you out there because you were there trying to save other people's children, right? The system, the thing about everything.
Yeah, I probably still would have been there. I honestly, it probably would have been that. Oh, okay, this is my last year. I probably would have said that so many times, so many times over. Man, before I know him, I would have looked up. My kids would have been in middle or high school, and then it'd be like, oh shucks, like I'm a little late. But yeah, I felt needed in the classroom. I had students who looked forward to having me the next year. That's another reason why I was like, oh my gosh, they want to have me. I got to be here for them. So yeah, if it wasn't for the shutdown, I definitely I it could have went different. Could have definitely kept going different.
Yeah, thank you. Tell us, yes, you've said why you've done it, and tell us about, what is it about? How you do it, because one of the things is you were a teacher, so you know the traditional system, and now
Yeah.
you've turned to homeschooling. So how is it? What is it like?
Well, my thing with public school or traditional school setting as a whole, I just feel like children's identities and their purpose are lost within the school system. I feel like the school system doesn't allow for creativity. It doesn't allow for individuality, and it doesn't allow for a child to really understand their purpose, like their not the standard, but their actual like, okay, what's within me that is so awesome. Like I feel like that gets drowned out, especially by the time we get to 12th grade. I taught middle school and high school. My last year teaching was 12th grade English and creative writing. I had 12th graders reach me on a 3rd grade level, reading on a 3rd grade level, about to graduate. And seeing that was definitely like a push, like, oh yeah, no, I can't do this. No, I need parents to understand the importance that they have and the role they have to play in their children's education, no matter the age. And I feel like parents are the most qualified teachers for their kids, have always been the most qualified, no degree needed. I spend a lot of time coaching parents as far as like trying to build their confidence level and trying to, just remind them that don't nobody know your child better than you. Like, you know them, you had them, they're yours. You've watched them, you've taught them already. You are teaching them daily. And I feel like a lot of parents have to be reminded of that because they get caught up in the programming of, okay, well, they're 4, they're 5, and it's time for them to enter into school because that's how it's set up. And it's like, no, you don't have to go along with that program. And like you said at the very beginning, we have choices. And a lot of people don't tap into those choices. It's always, oh, well, I have to do that. No, you don't have to. You're choosing to, because we always have choices. There will always be choices. And so I had to choose mine above, everything else. And that was a choice that I had to make because the choice was always there. It was just like, oh, I'm choosing to be in this classroom with other people's kids. I used to go to our beginning of the school year meeting and say, okay, well, it's time for me to start ignoring my children or other people's kids. I used to say that jokingly. I just did that. But I was serious though, because that's what it was. Like, my days were long with school. The teaching doesn't stop in the classroom. Teachers, and you say you are still a teacher, so you already know, and I take my hat off to you. Teachers do a lot, and I never want to take away from what teachers do. It's just that they can't do it all. And a classroom of 25 to 30 compared to your home of 1 or 2 or 3 or more, either way, they're yours, and you're able to hone in on their interests. You're able to focus on them. You're able to present material or present lessons or however you want to go about it, activities that hone in on what they're actually interested in, and you drive that interest and you keep on feeling that interest. They don't do that in school. They're teaching to a standard. They're teaching to, like you said, a curriculum, like you have to follow a pacing guide. You have to, there's things like there's state mandates. And they're not considering your child with those state mandates. They're considering what they want to produce from your child, basically. And it's not healthy. It's not healthy at all.
It's interesting.
No, you're breaking up.
Thank you.
You have frozen.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Now I can.
Jay, are you hearing me?
I can hear now. Yes.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
My internet is full.
Okay, I think you're there.
Can you hear me?
Yes. And now I can't. Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I was asking you the age group you teach.
The age group that I started in 7th grade, 7th grade English, and I moved up to 12th grade English. I taught 12th graders and basically 9 through 12, because I also taught in an elective creative writing. So I had basically high school. That was the end. My lovely teenagers. transitioning. I'd say I could just keep talking. I don't know. Oh, you're mute. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, I'm not sure. We seem to have 3 people on the screen.
Yes, you have a frozen one of you.
Oh, technology.
Just frozen up there.
And I'm trying to get it off, but it's not coming out. So I just thinking, you know what? Let's just leave that.
Okay, it could be 3 of us. That's fine. There's nothing. That's your twin. Hey.
I'm trying to get it off, but it's not coming out. Oh my goodness, this is so madness. Anyway, I was asking you what age group did you teach?
I taught 12th grade English my last year teaching. I taught high school because I also taught creative writing 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. But
Okay.
I started in middle school and all my subbing was mostly in middle school too. So middle school has always been like my little thing, but they bumped me up to high school and it was better than I expected. And I love my my older babies. They're still my babies. But yeah, I taught the older group.
Okay. So the older group is what, age 12?
I say 13 and up. So
13 and up.
yeah, 13 to 18, 19. Some
Okay.
pushing 20, depending on, what's going on in their world.
Okay. So here it's like year 10 would be from, that's the age group I teach from, 13 from 14-year-old to 19-year-old. That's the age group I teach.
Yeah.
Okay. So in terms of, so how do you how do you teach your children? Do you use do you tap into the national curriculum or what do you do?
We freestyle. We honestly, we freestyle. We do a lot of activities. My girls are definitely like on the go type of deal. Like they like to learn as they go. So we do games. We do a lot of games. When I first started, I will be honest, like when I first started, I did do workbooks. I did try to have them sitting down and like, okay, let's do this, like do this worksheet and then I had to let all that was the deschooling process I had to go through. Like, okay, let all that go because you already know that's not what works. So don't do that. Don't do that. And so I had to let all that go. And so we do more hands-on. We do a lot of crafts, do a lot of reading. When we're at home, we do a lot of library visits. I love the library. So we do a lot of things like of that nature. No curriculum. People always, oh, you create all your lesson plans and you create. I said, I didn't do lesson plans when I was in the classroom, y'all. So I definitely don't do them at home. So please know that I'm not sitting at home making up lessons. I'm not. I think of activities or think of like crafts. Like we did these robots one time with some cereal boxes and some aluminum foil and stuff. Like I think of stuff like that, but that didn't even turn out how I thought it would. But yeah, we do a lot of freestyling. The girls, they're so smart. I just follow their lead. I really do. My oldest is into animals, like anything animal. Like right now, she's obsessed with bearded dragons, the little lizards. So that's been her thing for the last couple of days. I want to research some more about bearded dragons. I want to look up some information about bearded dragons. My youngest, my 6-year-old, she likes to cook. She wants to be a chef. And so we do a lot of things with cooking and baking and things of that nature. But it's just always just following their lead, whatever it is that they want to venture into. So Play-Doh is our friend. I just bought a little game from Five and Below where we have to it's a charades game, but you're using Play-Doh. So you pick the card and you have to mold whatever it is that you're, and that was cute. And it also makes them have to read too. So I just things of that nature. No, like I said, no lesson plans. Like we have fun. We have a lot of fun.
Actually making learning fun, right?
Yeah.
Learning is fun.
Yes, because that's the thing that like parents have to understand. You want your children to love to learn. You want them to love to take in information and remind them that you're still learning too. So I never put myself outside of the learning. Like we're learning together. Like Kimmy's now teaching me about bearded dragons. She teaches me about a lot of animals because I don't know a bunch about a lot of animals, and she'll fun fact me all day. Like, well, did you know? Well, like, and I'm like, no, thank you for teaching me. And like they love that. They love knowing stuff that you don't know. And I think parents be like, we actually just did a podcast episode talking about that too. Like parents be thinking too far ahead. Like their child's like 4 or 5 and they're like, well, I can't teach them. And it's like, well, you can, because they're really not doing anything at 4 and 5. But you're thinking so far in the future of, oh, I can't teach geometry. I can't teach this, you know, like all those other subjects. And it's like, well, I can teach those either, honey, but we're going to cross that road when we get to it, because there's so many resources available for you to be able to make sure your child gets everything they need. You know, like right now I don't know what they are going to be into in a couple years. Like we're taking it one day at a time. Right now, I can tell you their interest, but I know that's going to change, you know, as they grow older. And we'll meet that where it is. But I'm not thinking so far in the future where I'm thinking like, oh, when they get to 10th grade or they get a high school age, I'm not gonna be able to teach that stuff. It's like, no, I may have to outsource. I may have to find some other homeschool mom. Maybe we can team up and they do this and tackle this. But I'm not going to count that out because I'm thinking that far in the future. Like you can do that stuff now, like especially elementary age. You got that. And what we thought was funny, and like I said, we just did an episode of this, so that's why it's so fresh in my mind. Parents say that they don't have the tools to teach their kids, but they went through the same school system that they're sending their children through.
Mm-hmm. It is very true.
And so the irony there.
Yeah. It is so true, because as the same school system they cannot stand. The same school system they're thinking, oh, that didn't work for me, but yet still you're putting your child in it without even adding anything extra, removing anything. You're putting them in it exactly as it is. It is true. It is very, very true.
So it's like, make it make sense, because it's like, you went through public school, why you can't teach them public school stuff? If that's the mind, you know, if that's the mindset you have. And I think a lot of parents get caught up in the, oh, I'm trying to do school at home. We don't sit down and do 7 hours of busy work or sitting down trying to do structured things. No, like you're free to be outside of that box. And it's like, you can't take yourself out the box and still want to be in the box. You can't do that. So when you come home, when you go home, it's your home, your way. It's what works for you and your family. If sitting down and learning and sitting down and doing instruction, if that's your thing, then let that be your thing, but make sure it's something that everybody's on board with. Because it has to be, like you said, fun for the child. Like you don't want to take them out of a school system that you felt wasn't honing in on what they're good at or honing in on their interests, and then not do the same thing. Like you got to do different. And that's what homeschooling is to do different. It's an alternative. It's a variety. It's like, it's freedom.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. You know what is interesting, when I speak to a lot of homeschooling parents, when they initially started, because we have been so programmed, we feel that we need to reproduce the education system. But that doesn't make no sense. As you rightly say, it's not working. So therefore, why are you trying to reproduce it? The fact that you've taken out your child out of that system, and yes, you're trying to reproduce that system at home. It doesn't make no sense. It's only when you step out and you start thinking about, why am I doing workbook? Why am I doing program? That doesn't work. So therefore, why am I doing it in the first place? But it's like we've been so programmed and conditioned that we don't think that if we step out, it's okay. We seem to think if we step out, we're going to lose things and we won't
Yes.
do it right. I think that's the fear that society have programmed us so much with, that we fail to understand that, as you rightly say, we are the best teachers for our children because we know them best, better than everybody else. We know them inside out. We know their interests, and we could tap into their interests.
Yes.
It's
I feel like people get lost in the standards. It's the normalization of, okay, at this age, like the milestones, so to speak, like the things that they're supposed to know at 6 or 7 or 8 or 9. And so parents get caught up in that because that's all they know, especially a first-time parent. It's like, oh, my child hasn't reached this milestone, and they said, book said, the website said, everything has said that they're supposed to be here and they're not here. What am I doing wrong? And it's like, your child's an individual, huh? Like, let your child be an individual. I had one chatterbox at 2, complete sentences, talking, 2 years old. However, my second didn't start like us understanding what she was saying until she was almost 4. I never wrote her off though. I never said, oh my God, what's wrong with you? Like, why aren't you talking like that chatterbox? No, like, no, I just recognized that, oh, okay, she's different. She's learning different, but their minds are both just so complex and their interests are their interests, and what they're good at is what they're good at. And people have to allow their children to be that. Like, let them be their individual selves. Don't get caught up and lost in the standard. I say you are the standard. You have to understand, like, you are the standard. Your child is the standard. It's not about what someone else's child is doing. You cannot compare and contrast, because that's really where you get lost at. It's like, oh no. And I think a lot of people get held up too, because, we got grades and like, okay, they're on the 4th grade level or in the 5th grade level. I let Kenny answer. Kenny's 9. And when people ask her what grade she's in, I'm surprised she hasn't made the middle school yet, but she's about up to 5th grade. Let her tell it. And I just let her answer because I don't, whatever grade she says she in, that's what grade she in. I don't know. I'm cool with it. What grade you in, girl? Yeah. So it's all the standards and all the things we, like you said, been so programmed into thinking and believing and walking in, that it's hard to get out of that thought process. And that's why the deschooling is necessary. It is necessary to reprogram your mind and reconceptualize how learning looks and what learning is, because it really is just the taking in of information. It's just you're gaining knowledge. You're gaining knowledge, and whatever that looks like in your book, whatever that, however that is done, that's how it's done. It doesn't have to be done with a dictionary. It doesn't have to be done with you sitting down and writing out all these problems it doesn't have to be done that way. My girls, we're riding in the car, they'll ask me to give them spelling words. Like, I'm in traffic, I'm trying to maneuver my way through. Can you give them something to spell? And I'm like, oh, okay, night. I don't know. Or they're asking for math problems while I'm driving. Like, but it's just the fact that they love to learn. They love to get things right. They love to know that they're growing. Like, they love that stuff. And that's what I want to always make sure that we're with, is the loving part. Like, they gotta love it, because if not, you lose them.
Yeah, yeah. That is so beautiful though, because it's like when you sit back and you reflect that, when you're on a driving journey, you might say, oh, let's play I Spy. And, from the I Spy, there's so many things you could get out of it. You could be teaching
Yeah.
English, you could be teaching maths, you could be teaching science, you could be teaching history. There's a whole load you could be teaching from just this I Spy, right? So it's interesting that parents, as you rightly said, they need to de-school themselves in order to start teaching the children and then appreciating the gift that each child has.
Yes. Yes.
And
Because
it's
they're
so
all
important.
unique.
Yeah.
We're all individuals, and we have to be allowed to be our individual selves. Like, my girls will tell you, like we're at my mom's house right now, and she'll say something like, oh, that's nasty. And it's like, well, we all have different likes. Like, they'll say stuff like that. Or we all, we like what we like. And, it's just the like things that I've put out there, and they understand like, okay, yeah, no, everyone's different. Everyone's different. And we're going to allow each other to be different, because that's what's important, is the difference, and being confident in that difference. If you were to hear my 6-year-old talk sometimes, like she's sometimes coaching my 9-year-old, like telling her, well, do you like it? How do you feel about it? Like, she's like, like, because that's what I work on. I work on the affirmations. I work on the believing in yourself first and foremost, before you look outside of yourself for other people to believe in. Do you believe in you? Do you believe that what you created was good? Do you believe, like, it's that belief, because we need that. We need that big time.
Yes, yes. And it is, thank you for that. This is such a reminder in terms of, that's what I said to you earlier on. I'm a teacher outside of the box, because the first thing we do in the morning when I get to my classroom, they're listening to calming music, and then they have a daily quote, and then there's a meditation, there's a affirmation on the board. Because I feel that it is so important for me to get that, capture that, and it's like I'm saying to them, remember, I believe in you, so you need to believe in yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself, then you're lost. So remember, I'm believing in you, so you need to give me the goods, which means you need to start believing in yourself. And it's like they're sitting there looking at me, and they're going, yes, miss. I say, I'm believing in you, so you need to start giving me the goods. In order for you to give it to me, you need to believe that you could produce it to me. And it's interesting, because I feel that is what I always have to do in all my classroom, because I need to capture that before I'm actually able to teach them. Because once I keep on remembering that, I know, okay, I'm okay. Because it's like I was thinking this week, because today we've got, we off from next week, 1 week next week. And I keep on saying something I need to do with my students is I need to do a video that when they're actually doing any work, they're hearing me saying on the video that I believe in you, you could do it. These are the things that you're good at. So I just feel that actually came to mind last week, that this is something I need to start producing. So while they're doing their work, they're having this played. So it's actually going into their unconscious. So they're remembering the strength, they're remembering their capability, because school doesn't do that.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, and how you said when, and I don't know if we were recording just yet, but when you were talking about they want you to teach content, and you have a student who has all this baggage that you still have to unpack before you can even try to put content in. Like, that's important. That's very mindful to understand that we can't reach these kids when they're carrying all this stuff around with them, when they're worrying about all these things that are going on at home, or if they don't have someone pouring into them and telling them that they're awesome, or telling them that they can do anything, or telling them that they have to believe in themselves. If you're the only person telling them that, then that's a lot to have to pour into, because they're going back home to that same individual that's not pouring into them. So you're combating with someone who's taken out where you're trying to pour in. And that's a lot. And schools don't take that into account. Like I told you, I worked at Title I schools. So I had a lot of individuals. I felt like my last year, that's all I did was try to just build up their confidence. I was playing the motivational videos. We would start with that. I play a lot of different inspirational, like just messages to let them know, like, you are capable of anything. Like, don't ever let anyone tell you you're not capable of doing anything, because you can do anything that you do. I still have students that text me, and I still text them the same thing. Remember that you can do anything that you do. I have a little student who's in Japan now, and he's an artist and he's in the military, but he said, like, I'm still trying to draw. And I said, don't forget, like, make time for that, because that is who you are. You are an artist. So make time for your art. And it's necessary. Like, it is. And that's why it was so hard for me to leave the classroom, because I knew like I want to be that motivator. I want to be that, like, encourage. I want to do those things like I do. And that's why I found it like, okay, now I'm outside of the classroom. It's not enough just to homeschool my kids. I have to pour into parents and let them know how awesome they are so that they can pour into their kids too, and let them know that you are your child's first and most qualified teacher. And they need you. They need you. They need to hear your voice. They need to hear the confidence that you have in them. They need to hear all of that. And so, yes.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because when you're actually homeschooling your child, you're able to do that. But in the classroom, it's like, I was just thinking today, I have one class that they're so challenging. And it's like, anytime they start saying to them, remember, no one else could do what you can do. It doesn't matter what any teacher tells you. And I just find myself in the middle of a session when they're carrying on, I just have to stop it and say, you guys hold on, pause a bit. And I have to throw that in. And when you're actually homeschooling, you can always do that constantly with your children.
Yeah.
Because you are there with them. So therefore, you know, when they start dipping, when the lows begin to come, you could actually pep them up.
Yep. You definitely
So
can.
when you look at that, homeschooling is so powerful. And that is something people need to start realizing in terms of treating your child as an individual. We don't treat your child as an individual because we don't have the time to do that. I do because I'm breaking all the school rules. I do because, you know, when they say to me, oh, well, you know, it's like one school said to me, I went for an interview and that school didn't take me. The basis of not taking me was, oh, yes, I see the reason why you're doing the motivation. I see the reason why you're giving them the quotes, but we need content. I said, sorry, I can't teach like that. So I understand that you want your content because you want your score in the end of the day. But when these children leave you, that, you know, you already got what you want and you are leaving these children, you're sending them off broken, not knowing who they are. All they know is that results, because that's what you wanted from them. And I believe in making sure that they also have peace of them when they leave in the school, because you are going to be with you for the rest of your life. The school already taken what they want from you, which is the grades.
Yes,
so, you know, so
no,
for
I
me,
feel like that was my breaking point, Miss Debbie. Like I said, I was teaching 12th grade. So I really saw the end of the road. And to see so many of my students just so lost and not even excited about graduation because they already understood all of what they didn't know. Like they didn't know a lot of things that they needed as far as life skills go. And so it made them scared of graduation as opposed to welcoming it and being excited. And that was hurtful. Like I cried a lot my last year teaching. Like those motivational videos were for me too, because it was just a lot. It was a lot to take in. They were just so sad. And I know there was a lot of circumstances that were taking place when my students were sad before the lockdown. They were sad before we got sent home. Like they were sad. I had some very, very sad kids. And I don't feel like you said, the school's not able to focus in on that thing, on like an individual student and their issues. But it was so many of them that you feel like there should have been a class to be able to deal with those type of emotions, to be able to talk to them and allow them to express themselves or feel free enough to express themselves. Because a lot of them walking around with so much balled up, so much that's not being explained to them, so much that's not being taught to them. And it's a lot to carry at that age. And then to be forced into adulthood with all of this despair, all of this like going on, all this noise, distraction, everything from who you truly are. And you're just sent out into the world now. And it's like, okay, well, figure it out from here. Like you pass geometry, you pass your history class, go ahead and figure out the rest of that life stuff you got to figure out, but we're done with you now. So that's not right.
Yeah, it is so true. It is so true. Whereas when you actually homeschool your child, you actually do all of that. That brings me to the next question. Do you think that homeschooling or home education prepares children more for the world of work than the traditional education does?
I think it not just for work, just for life in general. It's wow. Okay, so when we first moved to Arizona, we traveled. Like we went to San Francisco, we went to LA, we went to Vegas, went to all these places. And so when we got back to Arizona, my girls were like, they started concocting up their future plan as far as them moving. So look, I told you I had well, this is before she was 8 at the time. So 8 and 6 or 5. They were saying that they were going to move out when were when they were 13 and 10 and go and live in LA. One was going to live in LA and one was going to live in Vegas. And I had to explain to them, well, you can't drive until you're 16 legally. And then so they moved their plans back to 16. And I said, so you feel like before that, I was like, you feel like you're gonna know everything you need to know by the time you're 13 to go live on your own. And my 8-year-old was like, yeah, like, yeah, I do. Like, I'm already halfway there, basically. Like she was confident in her ability to go and live. And if you talk to my 6-year-old now, she'd say, yeah, because we're going to move to Vegas and we're going to we're going to go and stay in a hotel until we find an apartment. And then we're going to get an apartment. And then after we get an apartment, we're going to get a house. Like like a 6-year-old now, she's telling you the steps, these like, elevations that she's going to go through when her move. Now, this is without me. Like, I'm not welcome. Okay. They didn't invite me. Okay, Miss Debbie, they didn't invite me. Okay. But they feel like they're learning enough to equip them to go and confidently live on their own. And that is at 6 and 8. So yes, I do feel that homeschool does definitely better. It just is different. It's different. They do everything with me. They see everything. They know how to grocery shop. They know how to put gas in the car. They know the skills that you are like involved in. I know you had said, do I do natural teaching? I do a lot of natural teaching. We do a lot of things with, like, I know we have a little receipt game that we'll play. I'll give them a receipt from a store and they have to give me the amount of money, even though, by the time they probably won't be having cash and doing all that stuff. But they know how to count out change. They know how to use and exchange money. We go to the store and they'll pay the cashier. They'll, wait for a receipt, wait for like, we're doing things of that nature already. Whereas some kids, I know I had an 18-year-old tell me that her 16-year-old sister could not go to the store on her own. You had to go with her because she was like, she had a fear of people or a fear of like, just, she couldn't pay for her stuff by herself. So, and she couldn't go to the store by herself. And it's just like, oh, well, like, you have to think about the root, and like you were with psychology, you have to figure out where all that stuff stems from. Cause of course it stems from something, but they're not focused on that in school. Like, you're not focusing on that. And when they're in the classroom, you're not thinking about that. The quiet kids they're quiet and they get left quiet. As long as they're doing their work, nobody's bothering them. Nobody's asking them questions. Nobody's doing anything. I always say it's the kids that are in between. You don't really mess with the failing kids. You don't really mess with the scholar kids. You mess with the kids who you can get over to that passing range. Those were always our focus. Those yellow intermediate kids. Like, okay, who can we get to the green? Who's in the yellow that we can get to the green? That's who you need to pay more attention to. So those red kids and the ones that are already in the green, they're just passing along. Just passing through the school system, one grade at a time, and skills are not being put into them. My seniors didn't know the difference between rent and mortgage.
Exactly. You see, whereas, as you would say from your experience of teaching, that children, 18-year-old, they don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, salary and hourly. I was explaining that in the 12th grade. Like, it was plenty of things that is just like, well, where have y'all been? Like, who's been talking to you? And you find out that no one's been talking to them, because they would tell me that I talk to them more than their parents. Like, they talk to me, they tell me more than their parents and all. Like, no, that shouldn't be. Your best and first most relationship should be with your parent. Like, you should want to talk. And like, I love my girls. They tell me some crazy stuff at times, especially after a park visit. However, I'm glad that they come back and tell me, because it could be a shut off where they're just taking in all this stuff and I don't know have any idea about what it is that they're taking in. I tell parents to think about your child, especially elementary, going into a classroom of 25 other elementary students, and over half of them have cellular devices. Think about your child being exposed to all this content, all this information throughout, especially with TikTok now, and these kids being able to be on TikTok. Just think about all that stuff your child's taking in. And when you get them home and you ask them how their day was, and all they tell you was, it was good.
It's okay.
It was good. Yeah. We didn't do much. Like, and that be it. They go off and go on their tablet or go off and do their homework or go outside or whatever the case may be. Either way, that's 5 days out of the week that your child has been in these classrooms, in these school buildings, soaking in information that you're not able to work through with them. Like, you're not able to like explain more, or like even have any idea that they know half the stuff that they know. So like, that's my big thing. Like, I love being able to know what my girls know. And when they are introducing stuff, they bring it back. Oh, they brought back some raw stuff, Miss Debbie. They brought back some stuff, but like my oldest was saying, "You're my mom. I just can't keep." I'm like, I have to tell you, like, and I'm like, "Thank you," because I don't react. I don't shun them. I don't make them feel bad about the stuff that they know. I don't close off like our talking. I don't close off our relationship. Whereas, oh, you need to like, don't do that, or don't play with that child anymore. Like, I don't respond in that manner. I respond in a way that lets them know that it's safe for them to always tell me whatever it is that's questioning, like whatever it is that they've come across, whatever information that has floated in their direction, they bring it back. And I appreciate that so much. And that's a big thing. And that's why in a lot of posts with talk to your kids, talk to these kids, because they know and they feel so much, and no one's talking them through it. No one's helping them unpack that baggage, Miss Debbie. Nobody's helping them. And so that's why we have the rise in suicide rate. That's why we have the rise in children depression. That's why we have all these things rising, because no one's talking to our future. These are our future. Our kids are our future. Like, they should get all that we can give them, because we won't always be here. And you want it to be set up for them that is right. And that's a big thing for me. Like, I always want to prepare my kids for, if I do walk out the door and I don't come back one day, I know that they have these values, these skills, these ethics already instilled in them. I'm not waiting to instill them. I talk about them all the time. We talk through things all the time, because that's important.
Yeah, it is so true. Thank you very much, because those are, some of the beauty of homeschooling, because at least you're there with your child or your children all the time. Whereas when you send them off to the system and then you go off to work, the time you come home, it's like you two are just passing each other, because you don't have the time to spend with the children. And I think it is so important, because too often we are losing our children to the system, and the system as a whole, and then we're losing them to the education sector, which is, it's like a double blow. You don't know what's going on in the head, because sometimes they're not telling you. It's like when you say, how is school? Okay. Well, I ask, I don't ask how is school. I said, let's talk about what you've done today. Right. I need to, well, what do you want to talk about? Well, tell me, talk about what you've done today. Don't tell me it's okay. I don't just want it's okay. Okay doesn't tell me anything. So
there's so many hours, so many hours that you're not with them for that to just be it. Like, that sums up their day that they've spent without you is, it was okay.
Yeah, it's okay. What do you mean it's okay? Well, it was just okay. No. I want you to tell me about your day. Tell me what you did.
Walk through each class, each subject. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Bring up friends, talk about friends. Well, what did so-and-so do today? How are they feeling? How are you feeling? Did anyone say anything that made you feel uncomfortable? Like, you have to ask like follow-up questions. You definitely do. And you got to pull it out of them sometimes.
Yeah, because especially if the teenagers, they don't want to talk to you. So you have to pull it out until they say, oh, you're nagging. That's fine. Let me be the nagging. You want to come back and talk? If you don't, I'm going to be sitting on your bed. You want to come back? Okay,
Mhm.
yes, you come back. And, as you say rightly, so in terms of the, the increase in suicide rate, the increase in depression, we do need to talk to our children, and homeschooling does allow that to take place.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
as you quietly remind us that parents know the children than anyone else.
Yes,
So it
ma'am.
is connecting with that. Another question is, what are some of the challenges you had? And what are some of the triumphs you've had?
I think one of the challenges was my so I got a Capricorn. My oldest is a Capricorn and she likes attention. So I had to figure out a way to give my youngest accolades without my oldest being like, oh, well, you didn't say this to me. Like you didn't like that was her. Like, well, I mean, you didn't give me a high five. And so it's like trying to make sure that I am pouring into each one of them in the manner that they need, basically. Because my youngest isn't necessarily needing her ego or her self-esteem like stroked. My oldest is. And so that's why we do spend a lot of time coaching her as opposed to like, do you believe in you? Do you feel good about you? How do you feel about your work? Getting out of the modeling things, because even at this age, the 6 and 9, we sit down and do work or we sit down and do a craft activity, they would try to follow everything that I did. And so I had to get out. I stopped starting my project first. I would wait until they start their projects and then I would start my project. So little changes. I've always been pretty detached from other people's opinions. So I've never really paid much attention to what, others have to say about our journey per se. But I did have to deschool in the manner of not needing a classroom setting per se, or not needing, because we have a little area called the forest, and that was like our learning area. However, learning takes place everywhere. So we also learned in the car, we also learned in the grocery store, we also learn at any like social events that we go to, like learning happens everywhere. So just like deschooling in that manner. I think that's about it. The triumph is always definitely hearing them say how much they enjoy homeschooling, how much they pour into me in regards to how happy they are that I'm their mom, and how happy they are that we're doing what we're doing, and that they can talk to me about anything, like just stuff like that. Like they definitely give me my accolades all the time. So that's always a beautiful thing to hear, that they do love what we're doing. I will tell you, Miss Debbie, when we first started, when we first moved to Arizona, I used to threaten them with public school, like once a week. I used to tell them I was going to send them to public school. And you know what? We're not doing this anymore. I'm about to send you to public school. I don't threaten them anymore, though, Miss Debbie. We've come a long way, okay? But self-care, I tell parents that they definitely need to pour into themselves. I had to find a happy place within myself within this journey. And so I do the meditation. I make sure I get up way before them. I do the yoga. I do like the self-talk, the affirmations. I have my own set of affirmations. I listen to uplifting music, high vibrational music. Like I do all the work on myself to make sure that I'm always giving them the best of me. And so like that's what's been beautiful about this too. It's because of all the time that I've been able to give myself, really, and the intentional acts of self-care that I've been doing with myself, and to shut off things, like because I get up so early, but like 7:30, 8 o'clock, I would rather them not talk to me anymore. So we start shutting down around that time. But we've come to a good place where they'll even ask like, is it too much right now? Am I Right. Or Kenny will even know, like my oldest, she'll even ask, like, well, maybe we should hold off on this conversation till tomorrow, huh? Because it'll be like later on in the evening. She's like, maybe we should hold off on this conversation. I'll ask these questions tomorrow. And I'm like, thank you. Thank you. Because like I can better receive that tomorrow. But it's just being conscious and intentional about a lot of things with them and knowing that they hear you. You can tell them when you're not feeling well. You can tell them when it now isn't the time or you need a moment. Like take a moment, but always bring it back to yourself and making sure that you're right within yourself, because that's what matters. Because if you're not at your best, then you're not going to give them your best. And so I'm very, very intentional about just pouring into me, really, because
That's
it
fantastic.
overflows.
That's fantastic, though, because I'm sure when you are in the school system, you were not pouring so much into you.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I just think about the days, like, and that I think that's what is so beautiful about, like, people like, oh, you got to glow about yourself and all this stuff. And I'm like, yes, because it's like I'm finally focused on me, Miss Debbie. I carried so much my last year of teaching. I was broke down. Okay. I was like, I was so skinny. I was like, I looked sick to me. Like I had so much going on in my head and I didn't know how to quiet. I didn't know how to shut it down because I was trying to save everyone. Like I was trying to help these kids in a manner that some of them didn't even want to be helped in. Like it was just me trying to fix so much. And it's just, I really had to step away from a lot and just say, hey, okay, let's quiet it down. Like I spent so much time with myself after I stopped teaching and just quieted down for me, like quieted my mind. I practiced a lot of mindfulness and just being present with now and not worrying about later or in the future or who this student or, that like I had 147 students and I don't think people understand like what that looks like. And so for you to be that
Wow.
invested in that many people's lives, like that's 147 lives that you're supposed to be in charge of, that you're supposed to be taking care of. So that's 147 different households. Like you got to look at numbers like that. And so you can't. And then I have my own two little ones and my own personal things going on. And it's just like all of it was just too much. It was too much. And if I didn't take a break, if I didn't step away, then I would have been made to step away eventually because it would have just broke me down. It really would have. Like self-care was nowhere in my picture and then like at all. And so that's a big thing now. Definitely. Like I get an adequate amount of sleep. I get like, it's different. It's really different.
It's interesting. Wow. Wow. Another thing is, what time do you start in terms of, do you have a start time with the children or end time or?
No, because it happens all day. Like we do things all day. When we're at home, our start time, like to actually like, okay, let's sit on the carpet and do affirmations or let's go over our little health flashcards. Like we talk about the body a lot. We do yoga together and things of that nature. Like we would do that from like 10 to 12, like at home. But like I said, we're on the road now. We're probably going to be on the road for like the next 6 months because of the homeschool expo. So we are adjusting things and they are definitely more free. But one thing that we're still consistent about is going to the park. We go to the park every day. Every day is a park day. I don't know how parents don't take their children to the park because that's like a break for you. You go to the park and you see all the parents that are playing with their kids and you're like, oh, they must know homeschool. I'm sitting over there decompressing. I'm playing a game of chess on my phone or reading something or doing something. But it's like our time. Like it's like you go off and do you go off and do you, and I'm gonna go and do me. Like I'll walk around and just be like, I love being outside and they love being outside. So our day typically ends, like I said, I start shutting down around 7:30. And that's just not with them, that's with everyone. Like people know that you call me after 8 o'clock, you probably won't get me. Even if I'm up, it's just like I don't want to engage in conversation that late. Like I don't want my mind to be like I'm telling you, I'm very intentional and conscious about me now, like very, very much so. And so in order for me to always make sure I'm giving people my best, I recognize myself, recognize the things that work for me and what don't. And I have boundaries now, and I have just like, I'm growing up. I'm growing up, and I'm very proud of myself. But yeah, we around 10. Well, now since we've been here, and I'm trying to do the calculations because Arizona is 2 hours behind. My girls have been popping up at 7:30. They normally don't get up until around 8:30, 9 o'clock, but they've been popping up out of that bed at 7:30. 7:30. I've been getting up at 6:30. Okay. That leaves, normally when I'm at home, I get up around 5:30. And that gives me like a good 4 hours by myself in the morning. Like, so much is done during that time. Now they give me like an hour by myself, and it's like, oh, what's going on? Like, why you're not gonna miss anything. Go back to sleep. Like, we're not gonna do this. I need my time. But yeah. So about it's starting early, and like I shut down is still like 7:30 though. Like, regardless, still around 7:30. It's like, okay, let's start shutting down. Let's take showers and just relax and wind it down. No more loud noises, things of that nature.
Wow, that's fantastic, because although, in terms of there is some freedom, there's also a lot of boundaries in terms of shutting down so that everybody start unwinding and start having their brains for themselves. I think that's fantastic, because that is something that is needed, and I think that's really is good.
Yes,
That's
yes,
really is
yes,
good.
ma'am.
So thank you very much for that. So what would 3 tips would you give anybody that now want to home educate their children?
Okay. Well, first, remember that it's your home, your way. So focus on what works for you and your family. Talk with your family, sit down with your kids. I have a lot of people talk to me about wanting to homeschool, and I always ask, well, did you talk to your kid about it too? Like, especially if they're middle or high school age. I'm sorry, I don't know if you can hear that. It's raining. I'm outside. um, Talk to your family. Make sure that everything, y'all are all on one accord. Go over the goals and the plans with your family, because that's who it matters with first and foremost. 2, no comparing and contrasting. Do not think that the stuff you see on Instagram, especially all those homeschool pages and all that good stuff, don't think that that's how your homeschool has to look. Don't think that that's what you have to do. Don't compare yourself and your children to anyone else, because you get burnt out. That's how the burnout happens, or the frustration happens, because you're trying to get on somebody else's timetable instead of yours. So don't do that. And last, have fun. Enjoy this. Enjoy being free. Like, enjoy and trust the process, because it's beautiful. Like, being at home with your kids it really is beautiful if you allow it to be. And it is about the boundaries. It is about the letting them know, okay, I need this time to myself. You don't have to give yourself all of them, like all to them. Like, that's not what it's about. Makes time for yourself, but have fun with this process. Definitely have fun with it.
Thank you for that. One of the most important thing is, that's what a lot of homeschool parents are saying, that have fun. But I think that because we have been so processed, conditioned, and programmed, we are afraid to have fun with education.
Yes.
And I think it's like thinking that you have to do but not realizing that you don't have to do anything as long as the child is progressing. And
Yep.
it's like there's a timeline. At 18, they have to go to university if they want to go, and they have to get this degree. And I'm saying to my student, there is nothing you have to do. You only have to breathe. That's all you have to do. You just have to breathe. Miss, what do you mean? That's all you have to
Because
do.
all you have is now. Like, all
Exactly.
you have is now.
Yeah. I say everything else, there are options.
Yep.
And it's like trying to get them to focus on that. Because you see, they've constantly been told by the education system, you've got to get an A star, you've got to get a B, and it's like drumming into them. And I said to my
Yes,
students yesterday, I said, the fact is, you are being programmed. And when the school get what they want out of you, They don't care how you survive in university, you know, that's not their business. They've already got what they want. They've got the A star, the A, the B's, and that's it. Thank you very much. And they just leave you to go. I said, that's what I'm
Yes,
saying to you
ma'am.
guys. You need to start deprogramming yourself.
No, yes. Oh, Miss Debbie, they will get you out of there, girl. Keep telling them kids to use their head. They ain't gonna like that.
Of course
No,
not.
you've seen the thing where it says like school doesn't teach you how to think, it teaches you what to think.
Yes.
And that was the big thing for me being in the classroom. I think for yourself, have your own opinion, have your own voice, have your own mind. Don't ever let someone just tell you what you should believe in or what you should do or how you should be. Don't ever let someone, like, you have to be confident in your own voice and understand how much of a value you are. I used to tell my students all the time that we are all a very, very important piece of this beautiful puzzle that makes up the world. And we have to play our part. Understand that no puzzle is complete without one piece. So know that you're important, like you're needed, you are needed. And I think a lot of kids have to hear that, because a lot of kids are just floating through this process of life and not understanding their value, not seeing their value, not seeing their worth. And it has to be put back in them, like, and has to be instilled hard, like, to combat all this other noise and distraction that they have coming at them, that they are of value, like their life does matter. Their life matters, they matter, they mean something, they are important, they are needed, they have a role to play, they have something to fulfill, and they have to do it. So very, very important.
Thank you so very much. Is there anything else you want to say before we
Of course, Miss Debbie, I do want to talk about our homeschool expo that we are doing here in the States. We are going to 7 different states. Starting June 2nd, it will launch in Arizona, Glendale, Arizona. It's a homeschool expo, Homeschool Your Kids Expo. You can find out information on homeschoolyourkidsexpo.com.
You need to message me that so I can actually drop it in my
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll do. Like I said, we're going to 7 different states. So it's a tour because we want all parents to understand that they can confidently start and continue this home learning journey, and they have the resources and tools necessary to be the best that they can be. So we are focused on healing. We are focused on self-care because, like I said, the more I love myself, the way, way, way more I am able to love my children efficiently and just build up on that. And it's working for us. It's working for us.
How long is it? How long is the expo for?
They're 2-day conferences. So the first one's June 2nd and 3rd in Glendale, Arizona. I cannot tell you the other dates offhand, but they're about 2 weeks apart from each other. So we're going to New Orleans, Miami, North Carolina, VA, Maryland, and Minnesota.
Oh, wow.
Yes, yes.
That's brilliant, 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 brilliant.
Yes, ma'am. Because this homeschool thing is on the move. It definitely is. Because parents are waking up to their potential and their kids' potential. So I'm loving it for them, and I'm loving it so much so that I got to do my part. Like I said, it's like, since I'm not in the classroom, I still feel the need to do, and that is my due. Like, I want parents to be their best for their kids, because everyone deserves love, and that's where it all starts at, is love. So we're excited.
Yeah, it's really is nice, especially, you know, reminding parents that, you know, your child have so much to give and they're unique individuals. And I think that's what parents need to remember, that their children are unique individual. And the comparison, and I'm saying to my students all the time, do not compare. I don't do comparison. I say, I'm not interested. You are you, and you are producing you. Don't compare yourself with everyone else. But it is
I
so
blame
hard
grades.
Sorry?
I said I blame grades. The grading system.
It is very, very true. That's why when I mark students' work, I don't give them a grade. It's like it's so interesting because I gave them some essays, and I handed back yesterday. And what she said to me, Miss, there's no grade on it. I said, yes, I know. But Miss, what grade I got? I said, look at my comments and build from that.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah,
Moving them forward. You meet them where they are and you move them forward.
exactly, exactly. And even my head of the department saying to me, oh, you've marked it. Have you given them grade? I said, no, I don't give any grade. And she said, it was funny though, because she said, they're looking at me. She said, you don't give them. I said, no. I said, because I said, haven't you noticed what happened when you give them grades? All they're doing is busy finding the grade and they're ignoring your comments. I said, my comment is far more important than the grade I'm giving them.
Yeah.
Because what's interesting, I said to the student, it doesn't matter what grade we give you, you know, it's your performance on the day of the exam. So forget about the grade we giving you. That's not important. You just need to do your best. And if your best is good enough, that's it.
Yes, I love that. I love that.
It's the system, the system. You know, there's sometimes I still wonder, how am I still in the system and they haven't banned me from the system yet, right?
No,
I say, God is my guide. He probably not have something to say.
Of course. You are there for a reason. You are there for a reason.
I think so too, because they haven't banned me from the education system yet. You know, there's some school that don't even want me back, right? Because there's no way I'm gonna have her back because she's actually deprogramming our children. Right?
Yes, waking them up. Yes, I love it.
Exactly. Thank you very, very much. I do appreciate that you actually, you know, accept the offer to come on the program to talk to us about your journey and what it's like, and you know, some of the challenges and a lot of triumph, which is wonderful. And just to remind parents that they are the best teacher. Yes, you could do it. You don't need no books, textbook, etc. Everything is learning. Every single thing is like sitting on this show is learning. There's so much taking place in terms of learning. And every day, everything we do in our home is learning. And it's getting parents to realize that and begin to appreciate it, and don't think that, oh well, I haven't got a degree, so therefore I'm not able to home educate your child. Of course you can. You don't need a degree. Degree is hampering you anyway, I think, because it's like a program which you actually, you know, adhering to, and you know, it's like a validation. What the degree does is validate. You don't need that all the time. You could validate yourself by seeing how your children are springing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes, ma'am. You said it all.
You know, that's one of the powerful things of homeschooling, home educating. That's why I will be forever on the campaign to get home educating, homeschooling on a bigger platform so people begin to see the beauty of it.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, there is a place for the traditional education, but you know what? There is a bigger place for home educating.
Yes, ma'am. And any parents that are looking for a community or resources, I do have a homeschool app you can download on Apple or Google Play. It's called Homeschool Your Kids. So definitely take advantage of that because there's plenty of resources, all the know-hows, the basic information of how to even get started. All that's available up there also. So yeah, I'm working for the parents now. I definitely like trying to pour into the parents because you are the most qualified to do this job, and it should not be taken away from you, or you shouldn't feel the need to hand it over either. So there's a bunch of deprogramming that has to take place, but I have confidence that we are turning different time right now and things are changing for the best. So
yeah. Thank you very, very much for that. And that people know that on a Friday, I do the homeschooling, and on a Saturday, I do female educators, because we have been on a journey. And it's important that we talk to each other, we listen to what each other say, the journey we've all gone through, you know, and where we're at right now. So on a Saturday, that's what we do, speak to female educators. People are constantly saying, but why female? Because we are happy, we are having the treble bond or the treble bind or whatever you want to call it. You know, this the fact that we parents, we homemaker, we emotional, you know, emotional support, we everything. So that's the reason why I feel that we need to get together and let each other know that we're here, and let each other
Yeah.
know that we on the same journey. So hence the reason why I do female educators, because we have, as I say, the triple burden: the home, the emotion, and the outside work. So it's nice for
Yeah.
us to actually unload. Hence the reason why on a Saturday we talk about female educator, what the journey is like, because it's different. It's very different from our male counterparts. Very
Yes,
different.
ma'am.
Because we always, on it. It's like someone said to me yesterday, I don't know what you're carrying on about with teaching you. Teaching is a vocation. I hear you. Because it's like every day, today's like I actually looking at the paper, because I also teach sociology, and I'm thinking, okay, yes, my student could connect with it. Because as a teacher, as you know, your brain is always on it.
Yes, ma'am.
There's never a rest. Your brain is always on it. You're always looking at something. Oh, yeah, this would be good for my student. It's like I'm thinking, okay, I need to record something. So when we go back, we'll be playing it to them so they could hear it, and it's going to, empower them. It's like you're always thinking, how could you better support your students?
Yes, ma'am.
It's,
Yes.
So that's what I do on a Saturday, talk to female educators. So you guys join me on this platform. Tomorrow evening, we'll be speaking to a female educator to talk about her journey post-COVID, during COVID, after COVID, and where we are right now. Anyway,
Oh,
thank you
awesome.
guys. Have a fantastic evening, night where you are. And I will speak to you guys soon. Right. This should have. I'm trying to switch off.